Hi, everyone. Welcome to the USU podcast. This is Julie. I am your host, and I am so excited for you to meet our guest today. She is just such an inspiring, empowering woman, entrepreneur, businesswoman, heart-centered, incredible person who is someone that's actually become a dear friend of mine. And I'm so honored to introduce you to Moira Lethbridge. I want to tell you about Moira. She's awesome. Moira is the principal and owner of Lethbridge Associates LLC, and she draws on 25 years of successful organizational experience to help individuals and companies increase their productivity and improve their health and well-being. Previously, she was president and CEO of a professional services firm. She grew the company from 5 to 200 employees, increased revenue from $3 million to $35 million, and was named one of the Smart CEO magazine's Smart 100 in the Washington, D.C. area for 3 years running. She's certified to administer leadership assessment tools, including the Leadership Circle Profile, the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, and the Herman Brain Dominance Instrument. Her services include business and executive coaching, strategic planning, mindfulness, and leadership and personal development. And Moira is currently embarked on a 6-month trip around the world to make time for a life that matters. We are actually talking today. She's in New Zealand, which looks super beautiful. And Moira, I am just so honored to have you here. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Julie. I'm so excited that I'm here today and that we successfully figured out the 18-hour time difference.
We were talking about that. I got so confused. I get confused with my own time zone. I'm like, you just tell me when. We'll make it happen. I'm so happy this worked. Awesome. So, I know for you, we didn't even get into, more, you're an author of the book that you just recently wrote. I'd love to talk about, come to the book, but before that, one of the things I love to look at is this idea of becoming your USU, living into your potential. And oftentimes there are bumps in the road that help us or help get us to where we are to get to somewhere different. And I'm just curious about what the USU, like what that's looked like for you today, what your journey has looked like, as much as you'd like to share. Tell us your life story.
Oh, sure. Yes. I'll tell you that, and I'll start from 6 years ago, because that was really my turning point in really coming into who I am today. And what happened is that you read my bio, and I was president and CEO 6 years ago, and I was really successful. I had my husband was a stay-at-home dad for 16 years. I had 2 boys, a golden retriever, a house in a really nice neighborhood, and a beach house in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. And everything on the outside was just really amazing. And I had a personal shopper. So, right. And everybody was telling me I was successful, and yet I was really struggling. I was making fear-based decisions. I was anxious. I wasn't sleeping. And I didn't think I had a choice. So my inner operating system my intuition was starting to speak up, saying, hey, it's time for you to do something different. And I didn't think I had a choice at all. I couldn't listen to it. I kept saying, no, I'm going to take the practical path, because I didn't think I had a choice. I couldn't imagine leaving this. I couldn't imagine somebody, like, what do I do? I've been doing this for 20 years. I can't make any changes. My husband can't go get a job. Nobody will pay me, blah, blah, blah. So all of these limiting thoughts and beliefs were drowning out that voice. And I continued to make compromises that really just diminished my soul. And I had a really bad case of the shoulds. I should be happy, but I'm not. I should know what I want and how to get it, but I don't. And I shouldn't have to ask anybody for help. And I hate asking for help. I don't know if you ever have a bad case of the shoulds.
Oh my gosh. Oh Lord. Yeah. I relate to everything you said and then some. And I'm sure people listening are like, yep, I'm in that. in that camp. Yep.
Yeah. So what happened? So I didn't think I had a choice, and the shoulds were just driving me. These limiting thoughts and beliefs were driving me into the ground. And what happened is that the company went up for sale, and that was my Harajuku moment. And a Harajuku moment is a phrase coined by Malcolm Gladwell, who wrote The Tipping Point.
Great book. Yeah.
It is. And it's when something nice to have becomes something necessary. So before I said, oh, it'd be nice to do something different and maybe listen to my intuition and do something that I really want to, whatever that is, became necessary because they didn't need two CEOs. Mm-hmm. So I left and I took the leap that I was craving, and I was petrified. It was terrifying. And yet it was that part of me that said, yeah, this is your time. So the first thing that I did was I gave myself the gift of time, to take some time off to make the transition from what I'd been doing for 20 years. And even though the limiting belief was that this is wasteful, that you have to earn the air you breathe, and taking time off is not productive and revenue generating. And so I went to Rehoboth Beach where, I had this beach house that I never used because I was overworking all the time. Finally got a chance. What happened was I went into the local Walmart, and Rehoboth Beach is a small beach town. And outside of it is a farming community. So it is nothing like where I worked in the Washington, D.C. area. So before, in my old life, I would be in a suit and on my phone, and I'd run into a grocery store and grab a frozen meal and run out. And I walked into this Walmart on a Tuesday afternoon, and everybody's dressed casually. Nobody's on their phones looking, sounding important. And that's when it hit me. My new life hit me. Mm-hmm. And my hands started to shake, and I started to sweat, and it was like somebody was sitting on my chest, and I had a full-blown anxiety attack. And I went outside and sat down with my head between my knees, and I realized I had lost my identity. I am what I do, and I had no idea what to do next. And it was a horrible feeling. I was so lost. And it was that moment that I made myself the promise that I'd figure out how to create the life and business of my dreams. And so I dug in and I did the hard work. And the first thing that I did was I joined, I did everything. The first business I worked with, I did for free to get my business going. I did an online mastermind group. I went to a women's entrepreneur conference. I took an online marketing course. I read every book possible about change and transformation, mindfulness. I was so disconnected from my body that I signed up for my first yoga classes. And to start to get back into my body, I gave myself time to exercise besides the yoga, the 1 hour a week, which I thought was wasteful. And what happened is I started to get more present. I lost weight. I started to sleep. I found out the work that was mine to do, which is what I do now. And I'm really good at it. And I help other women to achieve mindful success. I love what I do. I get to spend my time doing what I love. I'm here in New Zealand on my mobile adventure, teaching other women, if I can do it, you can do it too. And I can finally say, I love my life. And 6 years ago, I couldn't say that. And so what I discovered is that, that our thoughts and beliefs create our experiences. And that when I change them, I have a really great life. But the problem is at first I didn't know what they were, let alone how to change them. And so these thoughts were blocking my choices. And so I figured out how to change my thoughts and beliefs. And that's what I teach others, so that they can have a magnificent life and to remember who they are and forget what they're not.
Wow. That is so powerful. I know that we have a variety of listeners that are in all sorts of places in their life, but I know from many who've written in or who I've talked to about, this feeling, you said having an intuition that something was to change, and you followed it, and it wasn't easy. I'm really hearing that, like, not easy, lots of bumps. A panic attack I've had once before in my life. It's scary as all can be. But how amazing that you leaned into that and stayed the course, and that today you're really living and being your ideal, your best self, your USU, your potential. And that's, I love your story, and I know there's even more that we can talk about, but I love your passion to it's just so authentic to helping others really succeed and to do what you've done. And I can only imagine to go from, a life where you probably weren't so present to, for those who are listening, we did a quick tour. Moira is staying in this beautiful place in New Zealand, surrounded by water, literally in this apartment with glass and water. It was just beautiful. And I could feel you're so present, you're so connected. And there's like the biggest smile ever on the other end, which is making me want to smile and then fly 26 hours to visit you. So, which I might just do sometime, because
it's a 2-bedroom. Come on over.
I know, like, don't tempt me. I would do it. I'm impulsive sometimes. In terms of, going back to, I know that, what are some of the things that helped you? I love that. You said that the Harajuku moment, is that what it's called? From the tipping point. I've read the tipping point. Of course, I'm like, I don't remember that, but that's fantastic. What are some of the things that you did start to tell yourself? Like, if we were to do some takeaways for those listening, like, what are some of the things, how did you start changing that conversation internally? What did that look like? What does that look like today?
So the first thing was to give myself permission to want what I want.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Without editing. And the way that you can do that, the way I did it, and I teach others to do it, is to write what's called a look back intention. And so imagine you sitting down with a journal and you date it a year from today. And you start out the sentence saying, "Dear Julie, I am so grateful for," and then you list all the things that happened over the year. And then so basically all the things that your heart's desire, okay, without editing. And when I wrote that, I could start to see inside what is mine to do, with health, with love, with business, with creativity. And that started to get clarity for me, because the clarity provided the direction for me to move in. And so the first step I took was to give myself permission to want what I want. The second thing that I did was, because I had worked and worked and worked, I didn't really have close friends. And so I thought the limiting belief was, I'm too old to make new friends. Wow. I laugh at it now, but I really believed it.
Yeah.
And so on that look back intention, I asked the universe for friends. And I had 2 women show up in my life. I call them my angel tribe. And they helped me be my, what do you call it? My UST you?
UST me. Yeah.
My meest me.
It's made up.
Yes. So my meest me. And what we do is we, what I call compassionate accountability. We hold each other accountable for continuing to grow.
Love it.
So we don't let each other sit in our own stories or past. When we get stuck, we nudge each other, sometimes in a compassionate way, sometimes in a joking way, but always, always, we keep each other going forward. And so they showed up as soon as I asked in 2012. And so we get together once a quarter because one of them lives in Canada. I met her at a women's entrepreneur conference in Boulder, Colorado. And so this asking for people to support you on your journey, who will hold you accountable in a loving way, right? We don't need any enabling. We need people who see our inherent worth and value and push us out of those stuck places.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's powerful. That's so
Yeah.
powerful. I love that you asked literally, and that came to you right away. And if I can just reflect back, this is powerful and fantastic. Okay, if you're listening and you're not driving, for those listening, tuning in, or go back and take notes, and we'll have these in the show notes, because I love the beginning of what you said was giving yourself that permission. I think that's huge, to want whatever you want. I see it like we have a desire for a reason. It's meant to be expressed. And so to want it without editing, and I love that look back intention. So what a great idea. So you go a year ahead. I've done it before, but I love what you said with number 2. It's kind of like I'm hearing you look at that, and then you see what from there can you ask for now. So you saw that you wanted friends, and then you asked, and then right away they showed up. And this is such a great idea, this compassion, accountability. And those listening, like, you might have people in your life now that, you could be there for them. They could be there for you. I'm thinking too, I'm like, I would like to do that in a bigger way. It's such a loving thing. And it's a way to keep evolving and growing, which I know you are all about.
And you know what? The third thing I would add to that is to start small and build up.
Start small. Yeah.
And so one thing, most of the clients that I work with, because they believe in scarcity and unworthiness, they only value those things that are productive and revenue generating.
Right.
And so, which leads to overworking and neglecting self-maintenance and not being present. And so the neglecting self-maintenance piece is not getting adequate sleep or exercise or eating healthfully. And so starting small and building up can be something like tomorrow, move your body for 10 minutes. That's what I mean by starting small. It's not going for an hour. It's really literally maybe journaling for 5 minutes. Or maybe going out and buying the journal that you're going to write your look back intention into. You're more successful when you start small and build up. You're even more successful when you tell somebody, which is called bookending.
Yeah.
Bookending. So you think about bookends. You tell somebody, I'm going to go buy a journal and I'm going to write my look back intention within 72 hours. And then once you do it, you bookend and said, I did it. And so the mind cannot ignore that bookend. It's got to get closure.
So great. I love it. I have in my past heard that, and I love that idea. It's like giving yourself that loving, compassionate accountability. You got the beginning and the end covered, and now it's what's going on in the middle is up to you. That's the place. Right.
Right. Because compassionate accountability, you can't have one without the other, because accountability without compassion is the 2x4, and the compassion without the accountability is the enabler.
Well said. Wow. I love that. I haven't heard it said that way. That makes a lot of sense. They balance each other. You need both of them. So fantastic. Moira, I know, tell us a little bit about how it came to be that you wrote a book about your book. There's a lot of personal sharing in your book is beautiful and so well done. And I should definitely give a shout out to Karen Briscoe. If you're listening, we love you. Karen is a dear friend, and we're in the same mastermind, and she introduced me to Moira. And Moira, when I met you and then saw your book, I'm like, all right, this is a sister from another mister. Like, I was like, we have to be friends, because I love what you're doing. Talk about, there are people that want to write a book, but for you, I know this is has a lot of your heart and life, and you go into a lot of vulnerability in your book.
I do. Well, first of all, I have to tell you, I didn't expect to be a writer.
Yeah, that's so great. Yeah.
Everybody says, oh, so did you always want to be a writer? Nope. Didn't see it coming.
Right.
All right. So I told you 6 years ago, I took the first leap. And then what happened is that I continue to get happier and really figure out what is mine to do. And in the last 3 years, what happened is sold the house. the dog died. I got divorced. The boys went away to college, and I wrote the book.
My God.
I know. And now I'm living my mobile life.
Wow.
The book is everything that I've learned and what I teach the people that I work with on how to live a life balancing health, well-being, and productivity in 3 areas: yourself, your work, and your relationships. And the title is Savvy Woman Success in 5 Minutes a Day. Make time for a life that matters. And it's 365 stories and takeaways, practical applications. So I've taken all of this experience and all this research I've done on success and change and transformation and taking it down into really practical ways that you can apply every day. And the reason why I opened up some personal stories about my struggles with my eating disorder, or when my brother died and I thought he died because I had fat thighs. It's funny now, it was not funny at the time.
Right.
Or my struggles going through my separation and divorce, is because I found that when I shared those moments that I connected with people. And that's what I really want, is deep connection with others, and a way how I worked through that pain, how I worked through that self-doubt or that confusion. And people gave me feedback that those stories really helped them to see that if I could do it, they could do it too. And so I share what it was like to launch my youngest son off to college, and crying in the frozen food section of Whole Foods, calling my girlfriend, I don't know what to buy, I don't know how to cook for one. And we all have those moments, but I also share the moments of joy when the miracles happen in my life. And I mean, every day, the more I make the decision to open my hands and receive, the more the universe rushes in and gives. And so my vision is to put the light back in women's eyes. I know what it's like to lose it, and I know what it's like to get it back. And that's why I wrote the book.
That's really, really, that's so well said. I think there are a lot of women, honestly, at different points in their life, like many that are with young kids, frankly. For me, I had I felt like my light was out a lot in those early years. My kids were younger. It was grueling. I had no idea. Exhaustion. That's a whole other conversation. So to me, what I love of what you're talking about is that it could be any place in your life for women that feel like their light is out a little bit or a lot. And, but you certainly, I mean, gosh, the 3 years, I remember when we talked about this, I was like, wait, so rewind. Tell me again about the last 3 years. That's insane. That's an evolutionary amount that's like century amount of change going on in a very short period. And for those listening, so Moira has like the biggest sunshine smile like ever. Your face is one big happy smile. And so one of the things I know about you, and having gotten to meet you and talk to you, is you really walk your walk and talk your talk, and you embody this light and having the light on in yourself. And I think that is such a gift. And there's so many women out there that are looking to find it again. And I'd recommend, we're going to put your book in the show notes, but when anyone listening, you need to get it and flip to your birthday. That's what you had me do. And it was like spot on. Like
I've been doing it here in New Zealand, and I met a couple when I was in Sydney. I was in Australia before I came here, and this guy, Paul Wright, who has a physiotherapy business, really successful. He's like, oh, so can I read this book? I said, yeah. Well, let me find your birthday first, and you can be a savvy woman, man. And he said, I will. And would you? Right? And so he's reading his birthday, and it's spot on. And
oh my God.
And so he's been sharing it with his guys.
That's so awesome. Will you hold it up quickly so those can see it? Savvy women, in 5 minutes a day. Savvy women in 5 minutes a day, make time for a life that matters. And It's really powerful. I want to tell you, I actually like to do it where I just flip to a page. That's just my randomness versus going in order because I don't like following rules. So that's okay. But I love, you share so much wisdom. What, in terms of getting that light back on, anything else you would share? I know we've already talked about just, the look back intention and giving permission to want what you want. Is there anything that you find that you do in your daily practice that helps you keep your light going that you could share with others, like that might be helpful?
So I start my day in quiet time, and I do prayer and meditation every morning. And I read different books. Right now I'm reading Conscious Loving Ever After by Gay Hendricks, which is how to find love in midlife and beyond. And so I'll read something like that, and then I meditate. So to me, prayer, and whatever you believe in, is talking to the universe, good orderly direction, whatever. Meditation is listening. And what I found in meditating is that I need to listen to that intuition, because I ignored it for so long and I drove myself into the ground. And now I listen and I follow. And the more that I surrender to that voice, the happier and more successful I am. And my ego loves to sneak in and say, you don't need to do that. You should do this. And so the meditation gets me below that self-centered fear or that scarcity thinking, to follow that still small voice that has my back. Moving my body, that's a really important one. And then making sure I'm doing the priority action first. And that has to be something around creativity. And creativity to me is about how am I listening to that intuition and doing what is mine to do, but also in a way that's also serving others. And so there's this flow. If I do that, I'm having a great day.
That's such sage advice and wisdom. And I love that idea of I never thought of it that way. The prayer is sort of more talking and meditating is more listening. And I certainly have found that to be, for me, actually, I have to do the meditating, listening first, because I have like many of us, a very active mind. I'm sure those listening do, but I think that's just, it shows that you're living that. One last question that's coming to mind. I might have two, but the one that's coming to mind, you've mentioned it a couple of times. You talked about scarcity thinking. It's an area that I'm very fascinated in. I think many people are curious about and maybe experience it and don't know how to change it. And I'm wondering, when you talk about scarcity thinking or how to shift to an abundance mindset or abundance thinking, what are ways that you do that or work with people around scarcity thinking?
So to boil it down into two words. Okay, so we organize our lives around a thought system, right? So we can organize, and we're born into a thought system of scarcity. Not enough, you got to get yours, and it's, if you think about like booking.com, 45 people have looked at this room, or, that kind of Amazon, only 2 left, right? So it's just, we're just bombarded with it.
Yeah.
We hear it all over the place. That thought system is a thought system of fear.
Right.
Okay. So and then the other thought system of abundance and worthiness is the thought system of love. Okay. And so every day you could ask yourself the question, which thought system is worth more to you? The thought system of fear or the thought system of love? And when I talk about the thought system of love, what I mean is that the way I describe this is that because we believe in our inherent worth and value, and that we live in a friendly universe, we practice mindful success every day, and we need never worry again. And how I define mindful success is consciously choosing our thoughts and actions every day. And it's consciously choosing to have more faith in abundance and worthiness than in scarcity and unworthiness. So what does that mean? Well, it means you do the behaviors
Right.
that you believe in that more often than not. Okay. So for example, you spend 5 minutes journaling. That's the thought system of love, to get in touch with your still small voice, your intuition, what's your heart's desire. You ask for and accept help. That's the thought system of love. You write down all of your successes, and then you go share them with a friend. That's the thought system of love that believes that in your inherent worth and value. See, we're all born worthy. You can't destroy it, but you can hide it, and you can minimize it, and you can overwork and be over responsible and neglect yourself, but you cannot destroy your worthiness. And so if you can ask yourself, which thought system is worth more to me today, the thought system of fear or the thought system of love, that starts you on your path.
Drop the mic right there. I really have nothing else to say or add. That is so, it's just really well said. And I keep saying powerful. It's so powerful. And it's so true. I've spent a long part of my life really uncovering this. And I know this is going to help a lot of people that are listening to remember. I love how you just said it. You cannot destroy your worthiness. That's very powerful when you understand that and believe that and get that. It just means, like you said, I was actually picturing a dog with a bone. Like, you might hide it. You might, like, try to dig it up and hide it again. You might, that can happen, but that doesn't mean it's not there. It's always there. It's always there.
Yes.
Always there.
So now it's time to take the bone out of the hole and dust it off, and let your light shine.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you are such a light, Moira. I want to tell people, I keep almost wanting to call you Brene, because Moira looks a lot like Brene Brown, or Brene Brown looks a lot like you. I almost said you're such a light, Brene. Moira, Brene, you as exactly as you are just such a light here in this world. And it's a gift to listen and to share you. And we'll have all of your amazingness in the description and show notes, because I want people to go find you and find your book. And you're just you're really a very special soul, and I'm grateful. Thank you for being on here today.
Oh, I'm so grateful you invited me on, and thank you so much. This was such a blast.